Now we're over to duality. All right, so duality is another whole beast that we're taking on. And William, if you were, we're going to add a whole new level of scariness here, right? Because it's kind of, this is kind of a meta sort of statement about duality, and it will probably frighten everybody.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Any questions about what we've done so far before we get into? I don't think we have enough time to do it today. Right? Oh, I was quarter after. Let's see. We have a few minutes. Let's talk. I did a Google search for my favorite dualities, and let's at least talk about our favorite dualities. A number of people in my life are more religious, and they're always mentioning duality. So the one duality, what is it supposed to be? Is that there's two sides to the same coin, right? There's good versus evil, yin versus yang, right? Mind versus body, and they're duals of each other. And what does that mean? Is that though they're different, they're kind of the flip of the same coin, and they're kind of paired. One thing that's true about any dual system is that if you take the dual of the dual, you get the thing back, right? So the dual of goodness is evil, and the dual of evil is goodness. And the point is, by understanding one of them, you understand both of them better, right? So everybody kind of relate to this? So this guy is saying anybody who's given up material stuff, you know, is going to become enlightened. So that's mind body sort of stuff. If you, I don't know if these are really good dual expressions, but right, I don't know, somehow they're good expressions that make me think of duality, right? The more you give, the more you receive, right? So giving and receiving have a sort of a dual to them. And then here's another kind of dual, right? The person who screams the loudest is the one worried that he's good, right? If you're screaming loud that you're good, it's probably because you're worried that you're not. I don't know, somehow these feels like duals to me. Here's another statement. 10 is greater than 1, right? And what is the dual here? On one side, I'm saying 10 is big, right? But I'm making another statement. I'm saying 1 is small. So there's a dual here of saying, oh, am I saying 1 is big, or am I saying dual, right? So similarly, if you say, my housemate, I would say to her, oh, actually, sorry, you didn't hear that. I say to them, I love you, and they say to me, I love you more. Right now, where's the duality in this? On one side, they're saying to me that they love me lots and lots, right? But on the other side, they're kind of saying, you don't love me enough, right? If they say, I love you more, then they're saying the amount you love me is small, right? On one side, when they say, I love you more, they're saying the amount I love you, 10, is big. But you also can think if they're saying the amount you love me is small, you love me less, right? What's the difference between I love you more and you love me less? That right, they're the same statement, but they're kind of duals of each other. This is one I really feel very strongly about. When I was in India, I lived there for a year. I found that the poor people in India were happier than the poor people in America, right? And what's my theory about it is the American dream. The American dream says that if you're a good person, then you'll be rich, right? That's the American dream. Anybody who's good can become rich, right? So if you take the contrapositive of this, and that's what we're doing in dualities, we're taking contrapositives, right? The contrapositive says, if you're not rich, then you're not a good person, right? And I mean, that's the contrapositive, right? A implies B. Contrapositive is not B, then not A, right? So the contrapositive of if you're good, then you will be rich is that if you're not good, why aren't you good? You're not good because, sorry, if you're not rich, why aren't you rich? You're not rich because you're not good, right? And so my feeling is that in America, the poor feel like they're being told that they're not good, right? Well, in India, well, they were born poor, their caste is poor, they will be poor forever. No, but in some ways, they don't feel like they're bad. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's my little philosophy. So what's the dual is we're going to take everything and turn it upside down. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about what we do in third year algorithms. And this is my father. He's been done a lot of research on linear programming. All right. So a linear program this is a mathematical problem, right? I give you everything in brown or orange are matrices that I give you. And what you're trying to find is you're trying to find the variables X, right? So this problem is, give me a vector of values X that maximizes this dot product subject to these constraints. That's linear programming, right? And you can take the dual of it. And how you take the dual of it is look at, this problem here is the C is a vector this direction. Right? See, this is still the same statement, right? C is some vector, and I want to find X to maximize this dot product subject to this matrix times this vector have all entries that are bigger than this vector, right? That's the primal problem. And when we take the dual of it, see, I take the transpose of everything. I took this matrix, which is this by this, and I transposed it to be this by this. And I took this n vector and I transposed it into this direction. And I took this C vector and I transposed it into this direction. And then I had different numbers of rows and columns, so I had to use different variables. And I change minimize into maximize. I trade greater than into less than, right? I flipped everything around. And these two problems are duals of each other, meaning that if you can solve one, the solution of one is the solution of the other, right? And we're going to learn this in 3101, max flow, min cut. Here's the example that I use in 3101, right? The primal problem is here's landscape on Mars. And what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to find the highest place on Mars to stand, right? So that's the primal problem. Of all the places to stand, find the one that's highest. And the dual problem is of all these ceilings, right? Mars there's no air, so I build a lot of roofs on top of them, right? And my goal of these exponential number of roofs, find me the lowest roof. And we're going to show that there's no gap, that if you can find the highest place to stand, then why can't I go higher? I can't go higher because there's a roof which prevents me from going higher. So that's whole primal dual thing. It comes up in a lot, right? The other one we're going to do in algorithms is max flow, min cut. What's the maximum flow that can flow through something, right? Where is it bound? It's bound by the smallest cut, right? Here's a cut, which is keeping you from having better flow, right? Those are two dual problems. Find the best flow, find the minimal cut, right? I don't do this except in the grad class. Suppose here's one job is you are a customer and you're told by the Ministry of Health that you need so much vitamin C and so much vitamin B, so many vitamins. And you want to buy enough of the fruit, and apples provide you with these vitamins and pears provide you with those vitamins, right? So which fruit should I buy to make sure that I obtain all the nutrients that I want to buy while minimizing the cost of the fruit that I buy, right? So that's the primal problem, right? The customer's goal is to buy fruit, fulfilling your daily vitamin requirement at the lowest cost. Primal problem, right? Now, what's the dual problem? The dual problem is the salesman is not selling fruit. The salesman, we're flipping everything around. So instead of buying, we're selling. Instead of buying fruit, we're selling vitamins, right? Instead of minimizing how much we spend on fruit, we're maximizing how much we can sell the vitamins for, right? So the constraints the salesman have is he can't charge you more than for a vitamin if you could get the same vitamin by buying fruit, right? The prices of the fruit are set, and so he can't sell vitamins to be worth more than the fruit, right? To cost more than the fruit, and he wants to maximize his profits, right? Anyway, that's all cool. So now let's go back to what our world. Anything I said there, you didn't have to remember, right? You'll have to learn that next term in 3101. But right now, that was just a little advertisement that duality comes up in mathematics a lot, all right? So where does it come up in our world? Well, the one, remember, as William talked about the purple rules, here's a purple rule, contrapositive. If alpha gives me beta, then not beta gives me not alpha, right? Everybody remember the contrapositive? Look I'm switching. What are all the things that I'm flipping? I'm flipping alpha to not alpha, and I'm flipping the implies this direction to the implies that direction, right? I'm flipping everything around, and these two statements say the same thing. So I would say that the dual of this is this, right? Does that make sense? Right? What's another dual is that if I know alpha if and only if beta, then I know not alpha if and only if not beta, right? There's another flip. What's another one? This says, if it's not true for all x, then there exists an x where it's not true, right? Here, these are equivalent to each other, and one's the dual of the other. And what have I flipped? I flipped the for all here to a not for. I flipped the negation. This negation got flipped, and this negation got flipped, and this for all got flipped into an exists, right? So again, everything is getting turned upside down. How about this? Here, this is the Morgan's law. If the and is not true, then one of them is false, right? If it's not true, A and B, then either A is not true or B is not true, right? So what are we flipping? The negation on the outside is flipped. The negation on the variables is flipped. The or is flipped to an and the and to an or, right? We're flipping everything upside down. Here, we also need kind of double negation. We flip, you get back, right? This is sort of saying the dual of the dual is back to where we started, right? Everybody see these rules? And we're going to take these rules and then and form duals with them, all right? And here's sort of, again, a substitution rule, right? A substitution rule says these two statements are equivalent, right? So whenever I have one, I could replace it with the other, right? And you can see, oh no, here, this piece. Sorry, I'm just taking the purple part. I'm taking the purple part and replacing it with the blue part, right? So that's another way we're using lemmas, is our lemma says that this is equivalent to this. So I'm allowed to take, if one of them appears somewhere, I can replace it with the other, right? Everybody buying what we're doing here?